Good morning. It's Wisdom Wednesdays. I am Ariana Newcomer, and today I'm talking about self-forgiveness. This is a theme that's been coming up in client sessions. And as I've been working with tuning forks and doing tunings in the energy field, I have found that is really a valuable thing to look at for us, that there are places in our energy field where we are stuck, where there's still a lot of stuck energy, discordant, tangled, chaotic energy, and it is attached to perhaps a traumatic event or significant event that happened in our lives. And we have done a lot of work around forgiving the other for what happened, be it some kind of abuse or accidents or injuries. And yet there's this piece in there that we still haven't done, which is to really forgive ourselves and to really appreciate ourselves. So our culture doesn't teach us to do that. And it's so common for us to use shame and feelings of guilt as motivators. And we can work on not doing it to others, because they're really terrible motivators. They don't really work well in the long run. But we can still do it to ourselves, and we can be unconscious about how we're doing that to ourselves. And our self-love, our self-forgiveness, our self-acceptance, our self-appreciation is the foundation. It's the foundation of everything. And I find I have to come back to this again and again, because the shoulds and the you should have done it this way, you're not worthy, those voices are still so strong, and they're in the collective. Okay, hi Vicky, great to see you. So these voices are in the collective of how we should do things, how we should have been better at something. And this really came up in a client session yesterday very strongly. This was someone who is highly spiritual. She's a spiritual teacher in her own right. And yet, as we came across events in her energy field, this was the theme: the self-forgiveness and the self-acknowledgement and the self-acceptance. So I invite you to really look at the places where you may be holding some of that lack of forgiveness for self, and still thinking that it's a good way to motivate yourself by feeling guilty and feeling bad and feeling unworthy. So these energies really are all around us in the collective stories that we carry. Those energies are all around us. I have a teaching that I do around the dominator energy in our third chakras, which tend to hold that pattern of energy, and how we need to consciously shift that ongoingly to the energy of partnership, because the energy of domination is still all around us and will tend to come back in. So we're not just affected by ourselves, we're affected by the collective. So let's really shift that story that I have to feel bad, or I have to feel guilty, or I have to feel ashamed in order to get myself to move forward and to shift. A lot of our spiritual work is around forgiving others, but it's just as important to do that work for ourselves. And when we do that foundational work of giving forgiveness to ourselves, then we can then become a beacon of the other energy, sending the other energy out into the world, helping to create that coherent collective energy field of deeper forgiveness, of inner alignment. Because when we don't forgive ourselves, we also can't come to that full inner alignment. So think about the places in your life where you may have done things. And like this client yesterday, There was a bad relationship. There was working for people who then betrayed her. There was an early childhood betrayal. And she had done a lot of work on forgiving those people for the way that they betrayed her. And it's still stuck in her energy field was this stuff that related to the self-forgiveness piece. So when we don't do that piece, and I would suggest that that's really our first piece. The first piece that we need to do is to forgive ourselves. And then we can truly and more fully and from a more aligned place and in real integrity, we can forgive others. And there's also the self-acknowledgement piece. And this came up in this client session yesterday too. One of the things that she was doing to herself was judging herself for having been too trusting, right? Well, I got into this bad relationship. I trusted those people. I went to work for them and then they betrayed me. I trusted this person in my childhood and somehow that was my fault. And then judging herself for being too trusting. And actually being trusting of others is really a beautiful quality. It's a beautiful quality. What we need to do is develop greater discernment in our ability to trust others in the way that we perceive and look at others and use our energetic filters, our inner senses a little bit more to understand whether this is someone who is really worthy of being fully trusted or whether we need to keep a third eye out for what might be going on that isn't in our best interest. But that quality of trusting others is really valuable. It's really precious. It's really wonderful as a foundational quality. And if this woman hadn't had that quality, she wouldn't have become the teacher and healer and wise woman that she is. So that self-appreciation piece and self-acknowledgement. And I run into this with another client this past week too, who has done lots and lots of work in her life to heal from past traumas, from childhood traumas, and yet is still looking for, I have to do more, I have to be better, I have to. And yes, our personal growth is a lifelong, ongoing journey. However, she wasn't really giving herself the appreciation and acknowledgement for everything she's already done. So she was also holding herself back energetically. And there are places in her energy field when we did a tuning, I do tunings and voice coaching with her, where that was holding stuck energy in her field. So being able to acknowledge what we've already accomplished, and this is something that we work with in the Wise Woman Immersion, which Vicki, who's watching, can attest to, is being able to claim our wisdom means being able to acknowledge ourselves for all of the experience that we have had, for all of the learning that we have done, whether it is formal or informal, for all of the ways that we have done things like raise children, which isn't counted as a place that we acquire wisdom, but it is. Volunteering that we've done, any work that we've done, all of these things weave into the fabric of our wisdom, of who we are. And we need to claim that wisdom, especially as women in these times coming forward. There's a group of grandmothers gathering. There are grandmothers' councils coming more and more into being on the planet. And as elders, we do have that wise perspective, not just from the work that we've done in the world, not just from our CV, our curriculum vitae, all the jobs that we've had. Everything that we've done contributes, and all of our personal growth work, the wisdom work that we have undertaken to bring ourselves into greater alignment, to give ourselves that foundation from which we can continue to grow and develop and love, and send that love out into the collective and be these beacons of light that we really urgently need now. So claim your wisdom wherever you are on your life journey, whether you're young or old, you already have wisdom. Claim your wisdom, acknowledge yourself for all the work that you have done, all the things that you've learned, all the wisdom that you have acquired, and forgive yourself for all the goofs. Congratulations, you're human. We all do it. And beating yourself up, feeling guilty, feeling shame, feeling unworthy, never is going to do us any good. It doesn't really inspire us or motivate us to do the deep internal shifts and alignment and create that integrity that is what we really need. By acknowledging ourselves, giving ourselves love, forgiveness, acknowledgement, appreciation, that's the place, that's the springboard from which we can jump into what is next for us and making our positive contribution to the great shift. See you next time.